President Jacob Zuma attended the BRICS leaders meeting held ahead of the G20 Summit in St Petersburg, Russia. The meeting was held to reflect on the progress made with regards to the implementation of the Durban Declaration. During the BRICS Summit held in Durban earlier this year, the member countries resolved to establish, among others, the new development bank and the contingent reserve arrangement. The leaders welcomed the progress made towards the establishment of the BRICS-led new development bank and the contingent reserve arrangement. The bank is expected to have an initial subscribed capital of $50 billion from the BRICS countries, while the contingent reserve arrangement will have $100 billion. BRICS consists of 5 countries, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. President Zuma is the current chairperson of BRICS.
The BRICS countries, as we had our own summit on the sidelines of the G20, received a report from the finance ministers with regard to the development bank of BRICS. They've covered a great area in terms of where we are. We were all happy with the report. And of course, there has been the discussion as to how do you finance it or how do you capitalize it. And I think the agreement has been, or the recommendations, that at least a particular amount would be necessary. At the beginning, I think that has been accepted. Of the first one, the $100 billion that you are talking about is the one that has been put again to be discussed and finalized by the finance ministers. But I think there's a general, almost general nodding about it, that that could be the final outcome. And we think it is absolutely important, because if we establish a development bank, it must not be a smaller bank. If it has to deal with the BRICS as well as the developing world, it has to be quite substantial. But we are very clear that as we establish it, it must also not create the kind of inequalities in terms of the BRICS countries themselves, and therefore we have got to, in a sense, contribute equally. We could discuss any other development thereafter, but at the beginning, these are the figures that our ministers are discussing, and I didn't see any resistance to the summit. I think the summit was happy with the report.
The leaders welcomed the first meeting of the BRICS Business Council held recently in Johannesburg, South Africa, and encouraged the business community to increase contacts and cooperation. The leaders noted the recent developments in the world economy and emphasized the necessity of intra-BRICS economic cooperation.
The trade within BRICS has grown. The statistics indicate that ever since we are all there, within us, the trade has been growing, the numbers have been growing and are growing very high. We are also in a position to exchange views on the economic issues and the other issues. But it is also important in terms of the global economic landscape, that the old economies can no longer grow faster as the emerging economies. This becomes important, and South Africa must be part of that. But also, the participation of South Africa is that it is the only African country that is part of BRICS. So it's a link between this continent of Africa with 1 billion people, and therefore the huge market that is important insofar as BRICS are concerned. But again, South Africa's participation, it means Africa's participation in the BRICS. And therefore, the South-South kind of context, South Africa is part of it, and I think is absolutely important. So there are many advantages of South Africa being part of the BRICS rather than South Africa being not part. I don't think anyone would say such a development should be allowed to leave Africa out of equation.